choosing sin over righteousness. Of course, Christians have the right to think that their doctrine represents the absolute standard of right and wrong behavior and to speak to others accordingly. They just shouldn't find it surprising when this inhibits respectful conversation between them and others. In this case, the fact that Martin doesn't even say what the sin is gives plenty of room for speculation about how consequential this is, or what it even means about the story of his deconversion.
Finally, it's interesting, just one more interesting point, which I just add as a footnote that comes up in my dealing with the issue later. Samson and Steingart ask why doesn't God show up? So Samson says he's ready for Jesus to show up and tell him he's real. John Steingart says, my prayer in recent days has been, God, if you're there, please show up. I mean it sincerely. So far I don't feel like I've been answered. My door remains open. And this is to depart from objectivity for a minute, but basically that's saying I've decided I don't like God's way, so please do it my way, show up.
Is this really demanding that God do things your way? Or is it just expecting humans who tell you there's a God to show you evidence before you'll take them seriously?
So all of these things is a thread that the Bible's not reliable, it's fallible, and also the theme of their deconversion began with doubt and entertained the doubt and slowly rabbled everything that they believed. So the question arises at this point, how to respond. Firstly, obviously, carefully. I'm limited by time, so I'll cover a few bases reasonably quickly. But I want to just traverse a bit of a trajectory in what I say, because I want to hit a few things here. Notice, as I said, that the earlier points, those first 3 points, are effectively rejections of God as he has revealed himself. He's not good and his ways are not good, right? Rejecting his morality and his actions. His dealings with human beings are harmful and hold us back. He does not sufficiently explain or give account of himself. And there's an underlying assumption there that comes out sometimes that I do it better.
Again, as I've already explained, the question of whether God's revealed himself or not is the point of this entire conversation. If a person doesn't believe, they probably haven't seen a clear revelation of God, and insisting they have, then berating them for rejecting him isn't super duper constructive.
And I think, the most important thing here in response to this, firstly, is a perspective shift. Without answering a specific question, but making a perspective shift. I realised as I read through this that this is one of the classic problems of human beings, that fundamentally we always struggle with our station as creatures. Those that are, as Jesus says, of the dust, finite, limited, actually quite ignorant despite what we think of ourselves, subordinate, and we don't even understand the world. We're investigating it, we don't even understand the bottom of the oceans. We're still looking. That's who we are. We're subject to greater powers, which we cannot control, and which we do not fully understand. Imagine that was the simple problem in the garden, was the same struggle in the Garden of Eden. What was the promise? You shall be as gods, came the voice of the serpent. How so? Well, God's held something back. He's held back some secret, some good thing. God is not good. Is it really the case that he said that? Or did he just say that because he knows you will be his gods and he doesn't want it for you? He's holding back some good thing. Is his word really reliable? Or do you know better? Indeed, maybe your way is more fulfilling. And as you read these stories, it's really sad. You can hear the voice, that old voice of the serpent, saying, has God really said? And it's interesting to me that for a book which is so roundly criticised as unreliable, fanciful, and irrelevant by each of these deconverters, it surely explains our spiritual condition pretty well. And it surely gives insights into what's going on in their lives pretty well. It diagnoses human condition brilliantly. And by the way, I didn't craft this. I just wrote out what they were saying and I started to think, and here we are.
Maybe the Bible explains our state pretty well. But then maybe its description of human shortcomings is more mundane than you realize. It leans a little too hard on the imprecise intuition of its ancient authors, and while these authors aren't stupid, maybe centuries of moral philosophy, psychology, and social development have since given us a more detailed and reliable picture of human nature. And while some of the Bible's insights might still ring true, Maybe the same can be said for almost any other body of ancient literature, and maybe your estimation of the Bible's roughly hewn insights is inflated by excessive familiarity. Familiarity sets off a circular process in your head, in which you've spent so much time hearing the Bible say we're in a fallen state of rebellion against God that the idea has defined your view of the human condition. So when you go back to the Bible, you're amazed that it does an uncanny job of describing a narrative you didn't realize it had placed in your head to begin with. In other words, you're just shocked by how well it repeats what it had already told you. These are all maybes. Leaving the faith, I've started piecing together what at least appears to be a much more nuanced, insightful, and I dare say plausible picture of the nature and consequences of human shortcomings, just as these recent deconverts are probably doing. I might be wrong. I don't think we're so obviously wrong, and the Bible's so obviously uniquely profound, that our criticisms of the book can be flippantly characterized as funny. And this is important, because if you planted the suggestion that all human failings are horrible affront to God born out of willful rebellion against him, you can then weaponize the idea against anybody who doubts your faith. And that's exactly what Martin does here. So he doesn't only say this describes humans in general well. He says it describes what's going on when these people deconvert, which immediately delegitimizes their doubt as nothing more than a form of rebellion on par with that of Adam and Eve. Of course, all he needs to do is bring up Romans 1 and...
Now, Romans 1 then sketches out a pathway that people so often take. Having rejected God as he reveals himself, and suppressed the truth about God to go on and live instead in the way of their choosing in unrighteousness, as the biblical language puts it.
And of course, there we have it. Now yes, my video is scripted, so I knew this line was coming and timed my prediction accordingly. But did anybody really think Romans 1 wasn't going to come into this at some point? Because in this passage, Paul provides the classical biblical example of what Martin is doing, which is preemptively characterizing non-believers' motivations as wicked. They don't just legitimately doubt. They've seen God reveal himself to them, arguable, yet still want to do their own thing and live life their own way. This, of course, is nothing but a cult-like tactic that, consciously or not, is used to disparage former believers in the minds of current believers and ignore the possibility of sincere non-belief. That Paul employs it in writings that ended up being canonized by the church doesn't mean we should take it any more seriously than when Martin does the same in a YouTube video.
They then start to serve the self. They then start to do it their own way, and that was the next thing we saw in these deconversion stories. The I did it my way attitude. Worship and serve creature rather than creator, it's Romans 1:25, to serve the self.
Is anybody really suggesting worshiping creatures? It seems like a false dilemma that offers two options. 1, obey humans who claim to speak for God, or 2, worship yourself. But maybe there's a third option, which might be, I don't know, trying to figure out how to best interact with the people around you without worshiping anybody? To make you God. And in fact, done in a healthy way, it involves showing consideration to others and listening to the advice of those around you. The fact that you judge this advice on its merits and don't just automatically believe people instead of passing on God's will doesn't mean you have an I did it my way attitude or that you worship creature over creator. And people who suggest it does just might be maneuvering you into an unhealthy level of trust in what they say God says.
And then, having served the self, people then do as they please. The practice of their lives follows their desires, because that's what's in the self. And Romans 1 makes a particular point that usually that manifests itself with moral breakdown of some kind. And look, I see it's interesting here that these guys, and most of them, emphasize their objection to sexual purity. And in 2 cases, they divorced their wives. Belief, practice. Josh Harris has since been to pride parades and things like that. Belief and practice in accordance with the biblical sketch.
So we already discussed his point about post-deconversion divorces. But it's interesting that he also cites support for the LGBTQ community because we're automatically supposed to assume it's a bad thing? Look, if you're a Christian, I understand you may think homosexuality is wrong. Maybe even an act of rebellion against God or whatever. But you need to consider why you believe it's wrong. For most Christians, it's at least largely because a set of writings and or teachings tell you that a God who might or might not exist says it's wrong. Pretty tenuous premise to build your case on. And given that a person doesn't see evidence of God, might supporting people who just want to be themselves and live their lives without harming anybody else be considered a good thing? Take on this, John.
So, if loving and supporting members of the LGBTQ community is an...
What up? What up? Today is the big day for my organization. We about to go out here and show the fucking city we run this bitch, yo. Nah, not even figuratively or metaphorically, but literally. We run the fucking city, yo. We own that shit. Where the fuck is my lighter? Yeah, so we're gonna go out there today and show everybody our shit. And we're gonna make a big announcement. Gonna make a big announcement about our youth center. That's the main thing. I just can't wait for everybody to hear that shit, yo.
Well, what is a call to action, what he wants to kind of receive from that. But yeah, it's definitely not easier.
I also noticed, like, the first time I ever boosted a post, they would not stop harassing me. After that, it was like I was getting notifications, like, literally every 5 minutes, like, boost this post, and you're not even here for you. It's just like, that's borderline harassment on Facebook. Like, just get out of my face.
It's a thing where once you get banned or blocked like that, it's very hard. Like, I know shadow banning on Instagram is a thing where you kind of have to maybe disable your account for a while to kind of reset it. I don't really know exactly, but I know a friend of mine who did it just because I think he got shadow banned or something, and then yeah, all of a sudden Instagram was just hating on it, so it just like kind of just forgot about it, put him in an angle. So I'm not too sure, but I know it is a thing, unfortunately.
If it gives you any comfort, I mean, he's not in the same space as what it sounds like you are, but my brother had been banned and from posting anything. He kept on using different accounts and all that kind of stuff. It just kept on blocking his actual account. But they sell retro clothing, so nothing untoward. And he's just had a note through just saying that they wrongly blocked his account, or shadow banned his account. They've fixed the problem and it's sorted. So just to give you a bit of hope, it can get sorted. But yeah, I think you've got a long slog ahead of you because he's been on to them for the best part of 9 months.
Oh God! I gave up after a few months. So yeah, interesting. Thanks, guys.
Hello, guys. Good morning. Can I ask you a question about the?
Yeah, cool. Sure.
Yeah, hey, Jessica. Hey, Lawrence.
Hey, what's going on?
Good morning, good afternoon. I don't know what. I think it's good morning or good. Yeah, good morning for you guys. But for me, it's afternoon. 11, half past 11. Yeah, I was wondering about Instagram because, like, people are following me, but I can't follow them back. And I tried it on my phone. I tried it on my laptop. Is that also shadow banned, or is that like half shadow banned?
You have a message pop up. You have what is the situation? Like, is Instagram notifying you that you did something wrong? Are you using certain app? Like,
no,
what?
They didn't notify me. They didn't notify me that I did anything wrong. Just can't.
It might be a case where, I don't know, but it could be that maybe you followed too many people at the same time. I know you need limits. It's like when you DM too many people and then Instagram will kind of like block you. So I don't know if that could be the case.
Okay, maybe.
Because it's like with bots and people like are either buying followers, so all of a sudden there's like a massive number, and I know that then that can block you. So that might be it. So you just need to wait, I think. I'm not too sure how long, but it should reset. I don't think you have to do anything. It might reset on its own, but you have to wait maybe a few days. I'm not exactly sure. I think you have to research that.
Yeah, I wanted to delete the app and then reset it. I already took out the mic function because the mic function is linked to Clubhouse in the privacy settings or in the
in the settings.
Yeah, I already took that out directly. But I think it doesn't really matter because if you're in a room and other people don't have that, then they have it on. I think it's still gonna kind of link back to Instagram. That they're gonna scan the names or whatever. But the weird thing is, now that we're talking about Instagram and shadow ban and that kind of thing, people are all excited that Mark Zuckerberg got on Clubhouse. But then I was thinking to myself, that's the same if
sorry to jump in, but I'm very unhappy that he's joining the platform, but I'll explain that afterwards. I'm going to give you an opposite opinion, so great.
Well, I think maybe we'll agree on the same thing, because I'm also unhappy because I think that's the equivalent as a soccer player like Ronaldo going to the Super Bowl and saying, "Hey guys, I'm top of the game," and then you'd be like, "You know what? But you're in your own realm. Why are you coming here? Because you want to take it over?" And at the same time, you're also linked to Instagram is linked to Clubhouse, and at the same time, what kind of value is he adding by just saying what he's doing? Just like an influencer, you know what? I influence people. I do this, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, what are you actually really creating of some kind of change or value? So I think that's. And also, I was in a room, and then there was somebody from Facebook, and they were asking "Hey, how would you guys like it if Clubhouse, the same features were kind of integrated in Facebook or another platform?" And I was like, "That's so biased. You're working for Facebook. Why would you ask that?" you know. So that's kind of weird to me. So I just think that they just came on to kind of like say, you know what, I'm working on something amazing, but actually, you know, we're the guinea pigs. But tell me, Lawrence, what's your view on that?
Yeah, no, I think I heard someone else say, I can't remember if it was in this room or not, but someone else said that there were beginning to be rumours that Facebook were looking to buy Clubhouse. And I just think that whether that's true or not, I don't know. And what you're saying would actually kind of, you know, you can imagine there's probably a lot of people under different aliases from Facebook really working out all the features and how the app works and stuff. But Facebook buying this app would be the worst thing to happen to the app at all, because like with Instagram, like with Facebook, they have because they are a monopoly, they have a disregard for you know, the user base, and so over time I would imagine that it would go the Instagram route now and eventually turn into just a sales platform where, I can't remember who said it, but like where you're just getting pushed with, once you do one ad, then we need you to do more ads, and your picture's doing 95% better than your last, and so post it using some money behind it to advertise, you know, and so yeah, I just that would not be a good look at all. But then again, would you? I mean, I'm putting this to the room as well. If you were the owner of Clubhouse, you've been working on this for however long you have, and then Facebook come in and they offer you like £2 billion, like, and I don't think that's out of the realms of possibility, if not more. Then, what would you say? You've got to be some type of person to turn that down.
I would say directly no.
I wish you say no. Like, I mean, that's why.
Would you though? If it was you and you actually got offered £2 billion, would you like, you know, when that real?
Okay, here's the catch, Lawrence. Let me in for a minute. There was like a famous rapper, and he said they offered him $1 million to sign up, and he started out selling music out of his car trunk, but because he was so good at marketing, and now he has like an empire of like just like Shark Tank, different businesses. But he said to himself, if they're offering me $1 million to sign up a record company, then he knows sure for hell that they're going to make maybe twice or triple or 4 times more. So it's always going to be an equivalent of 2 times more. So if they offer me $1 billion, that means they're going to make $1 billion. They're not going to like have halfway of that one. So that's what you should also consider. And then he said he didn't sign because he thought, you know what, if I'm worth $1 million, I might as well just do it myself.
Is that Chance the Rapper by any chance?
Oh, it's not Trance. It's the other rapper, like an old school rapper. I think not P Diddy, but he's like kind of like that age of P Diddy. And
Master P never signed his shit away. Fucking Suge Knight never signed his shit away. Tech Nine said he had a $60 million contract on the table for Strange Music. He just left it there. Like, I made $60 million last year by myself. I don't need a $60 million contract.
Exactly. So you have to like think about worth. Like if somebody is and sometimes these companies, they buy other companies to actually like leverage the playing field and then kill them. You know, like, oh, this is a good app. No, we'll just fire everyone and roll out our own version of it. And I think he being in VR, then announcing that he's in VR, he already bought the Oculus Rift. And I'm like, he should have been making apps for that thing and an app platform just like Apple. But they didn't because they don't have like there's such a big organization with so many layers that they can't really all the creativity is kind of like filtered out. Like there's no room for like free creativity. It's only like driven by money and maximizing like the conversions that they want for the platform. So they're driven by conversions. They're not driven by creativity to evolve in something different. That's why they buy all these companies. That's why they bought WhatsApp. That's why they bought Instagram. Because they're not in the evolving business, but they try to claim it, and they try to kind of like put it out there, like, oh, we're working on this and that and that and that. But I'm like, there are other companies also working on that. You know, like when the first browser came out, nobody expected Google to be like the head of the game with Firefox and Netscape. So I think there is like kind of like maybe like a tech war going on, in the sense that they're working together, but at the same time they're considering not working together.
I think it's interesting because Facebook's module is based on data collection and selling ads. So it would be interesting. I think with Clubhouse, it has a totally different module at the moment, so it gives a different user experience for the people in the room and rooms and the people joining. So I don't know how it would be, because that Facebook module has moved across.
You know what the Facebook module is? The module is that we're now in a room connecting with creatives, where a lot of people, especially the kind of like Shark Tank groups, they're sharing their ideas, their concepts. So instead of like Googling all these companies and all over the world, because even like the Asian companies, Japan is on here and what's so not, just like they have like people that are scanning Twitter and other platforms like to like filter out like if people are talking bad about the product or not satisfied with the product. This has if they put like an EI or something else on this, then they could like say, you know what, as soon as somebody talk about a certain idea or solution, then we have the solution.
So, stop! That's so scary to me, because I've been thinking
about
that.
That's like, fucking crazy.
What the AI is.
Yeah, well, it is scary, but at the same time, the creativity and the ideas are so fast, and still you have to like complicate it in a sense, like you might share an idea or concept, but it's maybe like only maybe like 5 or 10% of it. So it would take time for them to kind of like grasp the idea, like what's the whole concept. And at the same time, if you're like in a room with people that have been working on a concept for months, weeks, maybe a year, what's so not, of course then that's going to be a dangerous thing, and people are going to probably go to another platform or to Telegram or what other platform to kind of like contemplate and brainstorm what they want to do, because they know then the platform is not safe to share their ideas.
And see, the whole thing about data collection is really what gets me. The interview what Elon Musk did on the Joe Rogan podcast, where he said Google has an AI built into the search engine, and every time any person Googles, we are training this AI as to what the human condition is. And like you say now, all of our platforms are marketing based, advertisement based, to see what engages us and what doesn't. What do we actually spend time paying attention to, and what do we immediately pass by? It's starting to pick up, like you say, code words where I don't own a cat. I have no cat. But if I talk about cat food and I say I like cat food and I say I like cats, then all of a sudden I get advertisements for kitty litter and all kind of shit in my fucking feeds. And so now, like you're saying, like this is an audio platform, so we can express more ideas more rapidly and more readily through conversation, which would give them a different set of data points to pick up on.
Yes, you're totally right. And that's the thing, that's the scary part is I don't like people in general that are working for Facebook being on the platform asking these kind of like marketing questions, like what would you think if we integrated into our platform, or if it was another platform, would you go to it? Those kind of things, because then they're obviously not far enough to really grasp the idea conversation because maybe they're communicating on this app and then maybe on other platforms to kind of like bring a deal together or a collaboration. And I think at the same time, I think it's just weird that that the audio feature is like on in Instagram, and at the same time, then after a trial of a half year, because I think it's now on a half year, that he comes on the platform to announce that he's going, like, it seems more like a diversion for me, like, oh, we're going AR and VR in the sense like, okay, he's thinking about maybe integrating maybe a voice feature or whatever kind of feature in this, and maybe there's going to be like a bot in AR and VR that welcomes you based on what you discuss. So you know the movie AI?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, well then at a moment in the film, he tries to find out if he's a real boy, so he goes to like this carnival, and then and then this like Einstein professor asked him all kind of question like, am I a real boy? Am I this? So you can see it a little bit like that. Then when you go into the room and you ask the questions, but they already know what questions you're going to ask based on the data that they have, just like what you said with the cat. So when you go into the room, they're going to say, okay, you're probably looking for a cat. You're probably looking for cat food. So they're going to ask you all these questions based on what they know. And maybe they're going to integrate it like that. And then when Clubhouse is integrated in AR, VR, people are not going to like really think, well, it's not a bad idea because actually I don't have to really tell my story because they already know that I'm looking for experts or looking for some kind of data search, and it's far more efficient than searching on Google and typing. So I think it's that's how I see it. But he's of course not going to really say, okay, that's why I'm here on Clubhouse. That's why I have a link and integration into Instagram. But if he speaks of that, then he's thinking a couple of steps further than just seeing this platform separate from his other platforms, because he's all about integration and assimilation into the programs. So to me, it's like I said, it was kind of weird. Everybody was like, yeah, he's on, and he announced this, and for the people that are not like very heavily into tech, for them it's like, okay, what's going on, or VR, or they don't know the history behind what he already acquired and what he's working on. So I think we'll just see how it works out, but I just like it for now how it is, and I don't see anything super creative on the platforms that Facebook and Instagram have, because people are coming with the same mindset here on platforms, think, you know what, we want follows, and when we have enough follows, regardless if we're in the music industry or other industry, they will sign us up because they know that we have a fan base. And I think the app is far more powerful more than that. It's more about cultivating ideas and collaborations and really having a discussion and a debate and maybe even solutions based on everybody's different background and culture and innovation and technology and education and whatsoever.
On and off the topic a little bit, as far as technology and the possibilities and ramifications of our future tech over the next 50 years or a century. If you guys are in anime, the Ghost in the Shell series gives a very, very realistic depiction of where our tech, our AR, and our VR can conceptually take us. If you watch the original animated movie from like 1996, and then watch the series there's a Ghost in the Shell series called The Laughing Man, and there's scenes in there where they show like their online chat rooms, but it is this virtual reality setting where you create your avatar and you're in this whole virtual world is, but it can be hacked and is always monitored. So just a cool glimpse at the future through the eyes of the Japanese culture using their animation. Ghost in the Shell is like one of the best things ever.
Yeah, it's a classic Ghost in the Shell.
I'd be curious to know exactly what the AI that Clubhouse has now, like if there is any, because we were in this room like a couple nights ago somehow we got on the conversation of ghost stories. Some people were telling their ghost stories. I don't follow anything related to ghosts. I don't follow anybody that's like super into ghosts, but like the next day when I logged in, my hallway was filled with paranormal rooms.
Wow.
Happened to you as well. I had the same thing. Like literally the same thing happened to me, MJ.
So then what's up with that? It has to be listening to what we're saying.
Yeah, of course. You think they're gonna give us this platform for free?
No.
It just scares me. I hate the idea of it.
I mean, the algorithms are already built there, so any new platform like this that comes out is already based on some of the algorithms, the strong algorithms, which are basically weak AI systems that already exist. So it's all built into all these things now. Anyway, it's just how we choose to use it. How are we going to make this some fad, some fun thing, or are we going to utilize it as a tool, as a creative tool, as an intellectual tool?
I mean, rather than being all down on it, I mean, I do think this app is literally, I mean, I can't champion it enough. It is literally one of the best apps to come out in a long while. I was a huge supporter of TikTok, but I mean, this um, on a scale of being able to connect with people and have genuine conversations, real connections, it's just on another level to anything I've seen outside of probably maybe early Instagram.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that.
Me too. I agree. So when I started doing ads about 10 years ago on Facebook, I was like, wait till people find out where their data is going, because people didn't know, and I think it's just being aware of what's happening behind the scenes, and that because it has caused a lot of problems with Facebook, the aggregation.
But do you think? Crystal, I just want to get your opinion actually. Like, do you think that people actually care though, like to a point? Because you kind of leave your information all over the internet every day when you buy something, you know, in loads of different fashions. But I think we probably are going to move into a world where you just accept that is the norm almost. I don't know. What are people?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just knowing that, okay, there's something going on behind the scenes and just being aware of it. That's all. It's just knowing where your data is going and be aware. Personally, that's all I'm thinking.
I think we shouldn't be more aware of our data, but maybe from a spiritual point of view, what people would say, you know what, that's like far out there. When someone says, be aware of your words, they have power. People tend to say, you know what, that's just like spiritual or religion or whatever. But we're living in a day and age that our words, literally everything, what we speak, what we type, what we search, has power, and it comes back to us tenfold in different forms and in different ways. And I think that when we're aware of that, then and we are aware that all our words, all our thoughts, everything that we put out there in the digital world can inspire other people, and especially being an artist of all trades, from graphic design to AR to also programming. So I saw Crystal, you do Python and NFT. So that's great. I definitely have to have a private chat with you about that. But I think if people are more aware of that, then they'll try to authentically try to focus on words and things that make their life better and make other people's life better. Because they know it's going to multiply in the digital universe on whatever platform that may be.
World's top trade official.
They're trying to make everything about black women now.
I mean, I'm here for it, but
words matter.
She don't. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say she don't.
Maybe
really
more
look
now
like,
than ever. I think that I completely agree with you, and I think that we're all going to be more thoughtful with our words and more concise, less rambling, less about us.
Oh damn.
I had a conversation with some data analysts and people working with
South Korea pulled out, and then so I guess she's the second up. So they're saying
we
like,
sometimes Google things like kind of power of intentions, like for example peace in Middle East or people being generous,
in Mexico,
just to like generate positive data about it.
Yo, like even to let her go, hey judge, it's vacation time. You mind if I leave the states? Well, you know, you are on bail, you know, for insurrection, but yeah, go ahead to Mexico.
And it can like generate like more positive intentions. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, you don't leave the states. You a flight risk, nigga. I'm scared. You might not come back to your court date. No, you can't go to Mexico. That probably was the rope he gave the hanger ass though. You wanna go? Yeah, go ahead, bitch. Go ahead. And make it good. Cause I'm gonna throw the book at you when you come back.
Do like a search of
but that's the thing. She was in Mexico. Was she posting on social media, or did she say something to the local Mexicans, or what?
Of course, the location.
That's social media. That's what they're talking about. That shit get you fucked up.
Oh, that's a lot.
The other person would get like something about travel. So
I mean, that's just dumb. You go on live stream.
You would like totally have to like really clean your whole computer or
motherfucker just said that. Watch what the fuck you say on there. Your words got weight, nigga. She gonna come back to you.
In a sense to invoke that positive thing.
I'm gonna turn the camera back in a second.
On the platform.
I'm almost done with this underpainting. Yeah, it took me like 4 days. I've been working just to get this underpainting done, but it is 2 people and it is there. Yeah. Yeah. But it's not a big canvas, but like I say, it is 2 full people. Like all their clothes, their shoes, and everything. And this floor got all these lines on it. So I'm almost done though. A few more minutes with this shit. The underpaint to be done. Then I can go back to some other shit.
To be making part of the influence that we will try, we'll experiment some stuff just to have some voice. And so especially like the last year, it has been so difficult for many communities that any intent, I feel that to make a difference is already like a difference.
Yeah.
Explain. Any difference is already a difference.
Any attempt to make a difference.
Abstract, but like, okay, so I'm gonna take an example that from my distance, living in Middle East, when I see like there is, for example, some artists that are like activists and trying to make a difference for Palestinians or for people that are not Jewish in Israel, and they will use their social media platform to inform people and educate, and then people would be more aware of the difference and would actually give more time and eventually donate or support, and then they would make a difference in real life, not only on social media.
Yeah, that's not an obituary, yo. Like, why does it look like that?
They're doing it. So now, like, even like people that are not living in Middle East are aware of what's going on.
Motherfuckers know what they doing, yo. They doing that shit. Like,
or for example,
why you make that shit look like an obituary?
Actually are aware of the situation and cannot like just turn their head and be like, oh, I didn't know. Yes, you knew all the way. And then people feel like donating or like sharing the message that more people would be like sensitive to the subject, and it not becomes like just a little dot on the map.
Oh, okay. No, I understand. Yeah, I think that's true, but I think we're gonna shift into a culture where
I wasn't, but listen, I wasn't in these shoes. I was in them.
Focus on follows as an artist,
and I was walking in the kitchen trying to get the coffee, and I was like, let's not try to walk around these little princess ass
of their power of the word to connect others.
I'm so
like
glad you
what's happening on this platform is great. People are connecting and collaborating far quicker than I would ever imagine, and that I ever experienced on any platform, and also in real life. So I think once the people that are shifting to like, oh, I have to make money, I have to market myself, they would kind of like shift more into like, how can I help? Like last night there was this, it was a small room, only 3 people, and was one guy, he worked for, this is like very weird, one guy, he worked for an oil company, and he did like the PR and for the oil company, the graphics, and there was other lady, she was like more like into meditation and healing. Normally, if these people would come across each other, they would be like the opposite from each other, because one is like if you hear like oil, oh, okay, so that's something that is not that's more about economics and money, and the other part is more about healing and spirituality. And
a thing called dating mixed race people is dating outside of your race.
Based on her story, and
how's it dating outside of your race?
I kind of like
if you're black
put that away,
and you date me,
I would actually
I might not be 100%, but I'm still in your race, am I not? I get the point that it's not
heal, because
the whole thing, but is it not still your race?
Yeah, but race, mixed people aren't a race.
But we are, but we're white and black. I mean, we're
both. You're not just one. You're biracial, so that's not. How can you date someone outside your race if they're both races? You're not, like you said, you're not dating outside your race.
For you, like if you were white and you were black and you date,
I'm not dating outside my race because you're both.
That's what I said. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not a race. You're both races. How am I dating outside my race when she is both?
Or look where they're selling second hands or whatever, and it's just like, you know what? Thanks for the ideas, guys. She looked up the program.
I wonder how many other people have integrated this into their other platforms the way that I'm doing it. Like, and I'm trying to get other, like, only one dude was in my chat and watching the YouTube at the same time. I can't get other people to do that shit, man.
But now I can make it happen.
No, but that's what I tell people. If you're in the Clubhouse chat and on YouTube, you can talk to me instead of typing, and nobody won't ever have to type. You can all just talk to each other.
More like creating to help others create.
I'm definitely more interested into hosting stuff like that, like unexpected people meeting and creating projects without intention of popularity or making like a show about it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also like a flip side of the coin, the world we live in. Of course, that's the people are going to, like, I go into different rooms because
should this be on now?
From origin American, but I also go to like in the Dutch rooms, but they're not many Dutch rooms, and they see like an example of people that are longer here on Clubhouse and using it for like a marketing tool. So they would like make these.
I mean, I don't care.
I had to take mine down because my inbox was jumping too hard off that shit.
Mine still is.
I'm like, damn.
Mine still is. Where you stay at? Wouldn't you like to know?
Experience a little bit more of the same of what you're going through. So I think there are a lot of
that's on your Instagram? Yeah, that's why I don't follow your shit.
You know who posted a picture like this?
I do too. I do.
Not like that.
Yeah, that's what I posted afterwards.
I had a cool experience.
I don't care if you keep that shit up there. Might bring you more attention.
I don't need attention.
I mean, shit, never get motherfuckers to look at you.
Oh, you mean the sex sells?
Mm-hmm. That's how I did my, I would start taking topless pictures with my art, yo.
You should.
Outside, somewhere in some nice sunlight, put some baby oil on my shit after workout, take a picture like that.
Yep.
That shit is sell, yo.
That's how you do it. I'll help you. I'll oil you up.
Just a lot of those things, and I'm like, again, I don't recommend it. It's great.
And how do you clean up your cookies in YouTube then? Because it's in the browser, or you mean the app?
Yeah, you can just delete your cookies in the browser you were using.
You just uploaded 2 pictures an hour ago, and that's all that's on your page. No thanks.
But you can't do that with an app then on your phone if you have like a YouTube app.
I know only for iPhone that you can go into the settings of the iPhone and then delete your cookies from there. But I don't know how it's on Android. People are gonna.
Okay, well that's a cool thing to do. I think I'll try that out. Delete my cookies on my phone and also on my laptop, my iPad.
Has anyone else integrated this into their other platforms? Like, I'm on YouTube Live right now. I'm doing a live stream, so my streamers are actually listening to the conversation. No one's engaged yet, but I've done this several times so far, and sometimes my audience takes part in the conversations that we're having, and I'm trying to get more of my viewers to actually download the Clubhouse app, because you can have a live conversation with your viewers, but they have to type and text for their responses. Whereas if they were on the Clubhouse app, then you can have a visual presentation and an audio presentation at the same time.
That's visionary. You know how you can solve that? Maybe you can. Okay, I'm gonna.
Do you know what? I've seen this as well. I was on a room. It was a property room, and the guy was hosting a Zoom on one channel, but he had the Clubhouse in the background so that you could interact vocally as well as visually. So, but you had to be logged in obviously on a computer, because it didn't work on a desktop or a laptop. Otherwise, it wouldn't work, because you need to be streaming one thing on one device and another thing on another device.
But Zoom already has audio.
Two iPhones, as long as you're connected to the same thing. But it does work. Because you're right, Travis. You know, like the other day I was doing a live, and it was annoying to have to sort of answer those messages. I mean, third world problems, right? But it was, but using this different ways is evolving constantly. It's amazing.
And like you say, that's why you can see how Zuckerberg would want to integrate this somehow into Facebook, where you can set up a live Facebook room, kind of like a Zoom, or I don't know how, but you can see like the potential in this app to integrate with other platforms, and I don't know. I hope they don't sell out, yeah.
I can see that coming into more like a WhatsApp, because obviously they own WhatsApp as well, and I think you can do like multi-way calls. I mean, there's only 4 people, but you could quite easily see a world where maybe WhatsApp becomes the platform that they would integrate this particular thing in, and you basically have chat rooms for your friends on there instead. I don't know.
Man, let's be fair. They're not very good at integration because they take over maybe the company, but they still keep the same layout. And they do like the design method Maya, and that stands for most advanced yet acceptable. So they would buy an advanced app or a platform, but they'll still keep it acceptable, because they could have did this with Clubhouse with messaging, and they could have did that with WhatsApp, like you just said. They could have done that already.
Facts.
Maybe they hadn't thought of it. But the safe bet that all eyes are on Clubhouse at the moment, watching it evolve and seeing what people, how people are using it, and what the questions and answers that are arising from this, and how it's going to evolve. And conversations like this, I imagine there's somebody's listening, going, okay,
It's what they want. It's give it.
Okay. I'm not gonna spill the beans then.
Internet bill just came in.
I love to what you're saying.
You're right. They are listening.
Yeah, I love what you're saying.
Well, maybe we'll just give them a corny idea. Like,
Well,
hey,
no,
guys.
you're right. They're listening. I was on stage in a ring last night talking to a few of my friends who were in tech and AR and AI, and there were maybe 1,200 people in the audience. And while I was speaking, people are following you while you're speaking. And I went and checked like 10 minutes in, and 3 of the people work at Facebook. One was like UX UI, another person was like some other experiential part, someone was a programmer. So they're sitting there watching because, there's lots of rooms on Zuckerberg and things like that. So they're absolutely
Matthew, maybe Ned should talk about being all creatives in this room. Come up with like a crazy idea and then you say, okay,
See, man, I tried to do something different with this background because it's such a shitty picture, and the background is even worse.
I mean, I like the orange and the red.
Well, no, it was like real bright, but it was too bright for the foreground. So now I think I should do the whole front picture first, and then see what I can do with the background instead of trying to do the background first. I mean, you can kind of see like it's a basketball. They're standing on the basketball court. There's some double doors back there, a hanging light from the ceiling, and I don't know what this little thing is like. So if I try to paint it, it ain't gonna look like shit in there. Like,
Yeah, because I can't see anything in the background. I can see a window and some light coming in. And I see
is that the light from the ceiling, or is that a window back there?
That's a window, and that's the ceiling light. This is a
person?
chair. That's definitely
No,
a gym
that's
floor.
not a chair.
Behind him, that little.
That's the markings on the gym floor.
Oh, I thought that was like a little folding chair. But it is. I mean, I can see the little circles. So yeah, they're on the basketball court.
2 people standing right here. Somebody with a striped shirt, and that person was standing behind them.
Yeah, definitely in some type of gym, and with like those high ceilings. Yeah, I mean, it's to me to even try to put a background is kind of like pointless. I don't know. I mean, you're the expert, so this is my opinion.
Yeah, I might just do a solid color, but I have to figure out the exact right solid color for this shit.
Obviously, you wouldn't be able to.
Damn, D1 gave me a hard project.
On stage, so they'd be relying on people who could keep the conversation light and positive. Social listening, which has traditionally been used for like Twitter and online conversations.
I don't know, like I feel like in the picture it's dark, and that's what makes it stand out. But like I feel like if you leave it dark, like you said, maybe not pop as much. So I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna mess up their plan. People that are.
What would you do if you did a different color?
That's a great idea. We should
On the background.
I think with a brand as well,
something
could you
darker
quite
than
easily
that.
see,
He's a
say,
photographer.
they bring on LeBron James for like a 30-minute Q&A or something, or like bring him to the stage or whatever. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is bright. I know you're bright on one of the whole thing, but that would touch it like yellow or green or whatever that is by his pants is nice.
Let me just give me a moment to think off the top of my head. Alright, so like Mercedes-Benz brings you and Lewis Hamilton onto the stage to talk about, where art and sport meets. Or they ask, let's say,
you did good as far as their faces. Like I couldn't even make out his face that much in the picture.
That's what I told D1, yo. D1, you've been asking me to do this for over a year.
You really want this shit.
Real bad. It's him and Ali. Great childhood memory. I don't blame him, but like the image, bro, is just so hard, man.
Herman Miller has paved the way.
I can't hardly see shit in the picture,
like
dude.
yourself, and will pay you a lump sum, but make sure it's positive.
I see this construction's already going on in like marketing platforms. So if you really listen deeply into the conversation, someone would come up and they would say, "Oh yeah, I had a great workshop. Jill helped me with that workshop, so amazing," and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, it's so transparent that you're saying her name, the person
How old do
that
you
is
think
like
this young lady is?
the moderator or like kind of like controlling the room.
About 47.
And then someone else would come on, and I'm like,
About 47?
you're not even like
About 47?
telling anything like from your like personal identity. You're just catering
She's
to the fact
17.
that people should
Why she
do
look
that.
like she's 47?
Marketing.
I thought it was the mama posting herself. No, that's her baby.
I think these things are already going
I
on.
don't know. She's just an old looking girl, yo. She just looked like she's already somebody's mama or auntie. Pretty girl, she just looks old.
You look like a grown ass mama.
Don't she? I'm like, is this you or your child?
She looked like a 47-year-old lady who looks like she's 35.
That's what I was about to say. But she'll probably age backwards. Then when she's 40, she'll probably still, look
she
the
probably
same.
look like that for the rest of her life.
Her life, yeah.
She'll be 50 years old looking just like that still.
As I said, she's a pretty girl, but god damn, she looked like she about 40, 50 years old and only
you're
17.
already at your age now, woman.
I mean, a lot of girls are like that. Like, I've been the same height I am now since I've been in, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
So, like, I haven't grown any since middle school.
Service Electric. Yo, they got a monopoly on on the internet service over here where I live at, yo. Like, I tried to get some other service and nobody else comes out here. It's this weird shit.
I'm so happy that the internet didn't cut off on me yesterday, because I'm like, please don't. Damn, she's pretty. She's pretty. It's an Instagram model worth $4 million for her beautiful dark skin tone. You got some beautiful ass skin. Yakim Gachowicz. I know that's right. Secure the bag, sis. Secure the bag.
What?
Before and after.
That's crazy. Now, what if you want to go wrestle women or some shit?
He is a former WWE star, Gabe Tuft, known as Tyler Rex, is now Gabby. I'm not fighting that bitch with her big manly ass arms. We can go shopping together. We can go get manicures, pedicures, whatever.
And that's what I was telling.
But I'm not about to box you or wrestle you, yo. That's what I'm saying. Like, we can all go have dinner together, but why should I have to play basketball against your big ass? Come on now. Don't body shame.
That don't make no damn sense, yeah. I don't.
He was a attractive guy before too, but hey, if he's happy, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
If she's happy,
if that's what you like, hey, that's what the fuck you like, yo.
Yeah, but you're not about to play sports with me though.
Yeah, look, he was a grown ass man.
That's what I'm saying. He like his arms are the. I'm sorry, I keep saying him. Her arms are the same size as when she was a man, like literally.
I think I'm gonna clean all these peanuts.
Y'all better start asking for baby pictures.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Several of them. You might just find one on the internet.
You know, do a whole female now.
Yeah, that's what I said. You better ask her again. And if he has a sister, he could just show you his baby, her sister's baby pictures. Like, nah. I need to see pictures, several of them. Let me see your birth certificate, as a matter of fact. No judgment. Like I said, we can go shopping together. We could be the best of friends, but we are not about to play sports together.
So what do you guys think about that Technique HD stuff, man? What sort of painting you do, bud? I mostly do oil portraits. If you go to my Instagram at Paintings by the Prince, like 99.9% of my work is oil portraits. But like high level, like museum quality, top of the line, detailed technique. I'm just right underneath like what they would call photorealism. Like my art isn't photorealistic, but it is realistic. If I take this same painting and then put like another 40 hours into it, I could probably make it look more real, but oh yeah, nobody really watches Playroom like that. But I still use this because it's connected to my YouTube channel. So I don't even consider it like the PlayStation Playroom. This is just it's just my YouTube now. So anybody who subscribes to my YouTube channel can catch me. I've been working on tons of shit lately.
God damn. Really bad. I just looked up to it, but I just knew it spelled it.
So this is a commission, a paid commission. This piece back here with the green is a paid commission. This piece here with the couple, that's a paid commission. And I have one paid commission downstairs that's going to get shipped off this morning. So for the past couple of weeks, I've just been doing a lot of work for other people, making other people happy to have some original art in their house. You know, yo, appreciate it, bro. I try to get it in, man, so my work do stand out. That's the hardest thing. That is, you gotta come in and close that door, man. That is the hardest thing as an artist, is to like make your work stand out from other artists. You know, it is so tough because everybody's good, yo, and everybody isn't good at the same thing. So I don't know. I don't know. I just try to make my shit look like my shit, and the hardest thing beyond technique is concepts. It's just like just trying to think about some shit that nobody else has thought about. Well, there's no ideas original. There's nothing new under the sun. It's never what you do, but how it's done. So you're never gonna think of something that no one else has ever thought of. Very, very rarely do these, unless it's like we just was having a conversation about the tech world. But even with the tech world, it's just building on top of other ideas. So it's kind of hard, especially when it comes to art, to try to create a visual image of an idea that's, you know, new or fresh or a different spin on an idea. That shit is hard as fuck, man. Like, my girl's a songwriter. Even like how many songs have been made in the last 1,000 years? I mean, how many more different ways can you say the same thing in a song? So you gotta be creative with that shit, yo.
And I would say with the raps, it's a little bit more creative because you can play a lot more with bars.
But we've been rapping for 40 years now.
I'm just saying, but people have been singing for forever. And it's like there's so many singers. And when you sing, you have a lot of space in your songs because you're like holding your words and stuff out. So like you're not gonna put as many words in a song that you're singing versus what I could fit into a rap. Mm-hmm. So it's just like when I sing, I already know that somebody's probably already said that shit. And you've seen me like, let me go look this up and make sure nobody said this shit, at least not recently.
Yeah, it's hard. Ideas, we've been making music, we've been making art, we've been building, we've been doing this shit for thousands of years. So it's hard to get a new idea out there, especially if you really are trying to show your creativity to the world. It's like, how do you stand apart? You know, what is different? How are you going to tell the human story different than anybody else has told it in the last 100 years? What makes you so special that I need to pay attention to you than anybody else in the last 100 years? And it's like, because I'm going to say it this way, or I'm going to show it to you this way.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's just all who we click to, because it's like, no matter what you talk about, somebody's talked about it. Mm-hmm. Whether it's love, whether it's goddamn skateboarding, partying, doing drugs, there's a song for everything. There's songs about sitting on the goddamn toilet. Like, there's songs for everything. So there's like no way around it.
Motherfucker be sitting on the toilet, sitting on the edge of a cliff, or sitting on the dock of the bay. It don't matter where you was sitting, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucker still telling the same story.
Earth is ghetto, that shit was hot.
I seen a little meme with aliens back in the day. It's like, let's go there. He's like, nah, bro, Earth ghetto.
Earth is ghetto.
Aliens don't even want to come here, yo.
I don't blame them. What you think about this? It's not for outside.
Yeah, right? It looks like a jumpsuit, like.
It's a bodysuit.
Yeah, but the strap, I don't know, I don't like the strap part.
Okay.
It should just be a 2-piece or or 1-piece. It's a 1-piece.
So I'm not getting this today, but this and this, I thought this would be perfect for like my space funk, yo. That and that. For like a performance, not just the wear.
I know, I like both of them.
Me too. And they're a really good price. I think I might just order them because the one is only $22, but it's like completely see-through. But yeah, I was like, yo, I might just have to get this shit and just like this for like a photo shoot with the gloves and like some little furry shoes.
Mm-hmm.
What about this?
Not so much. I don't like the colors of it. Like, I don't know.
I don't
it's
know.
It's like swirly.
Yeah, it's like lava or something. I don't know.
If I had that print on a shirt, would you want me to wear that shit?
Not all the time, but yeah.
That shit don't look good. Alright, you know how to roll a Dutch? I'm about to show y'all how to roll a Dutch, yo. I'm really trying to get people into this chat app, yo. If you have a Clubhouse, instead of sitting here typing, I mean, you don't have to sit here and have a full-blown conversation either, but if you want to say something instead of fucking typing it out, you can just say it in the Clubhouse app. I'm really trying to integrate this into my YouTube stream, so once again, so you guys don't have to type. Yo, there's 13 people on stage and 97 people listening. Yo, our little fucking art group, that shit be popping, yo. And then I don't even be thinking about it. Like, when I'm in there saying, and I sound like the least intelligent person in that shit most of the time. You know what I'm saying? But I'll say my little piece, and then I'll be like, oh shit, like 100 people just heard me say that shit. I'm just in bed smoking a blunt. And I got time to fucking text. It's all good. How this app won't even open up for me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I just gotta really get nice with this sewing and shit because I be wanting so many. Like, I just want so many clothes, and that shit don't be cheap. $100 for this dress, $50 for this skirt. Like, Lord, I just need to sew my own shit.
That was one of the first things my cousin Nikki did.
I swear, because I'm looking at all this stuff and I need costumes. And they're just not cheap, yo. Costumes are expensive.
This is like my lily pad. I jump to other rooms from here, but this is like my safe space.
My grandma taught me how to
so
fix
I
the
would say the
seam.
biggest thing I've got from this is just meeting
That's about it.
so many people who actually are in the UK
The world comes to an
who
end.
had
I don't
never
know what
even
people do
known
for clothes.
existed,
We're gonna be
and
learning some shit from
it's
us.
so great to feel like I can feel aligned with so many different people. And
that's
like
good.
Lawrence and MJ, I've started doing
Especially if you got a pattern.
MJ have been jumping into those.
I don't have any patterns, but I do have a sewing machine at my mom's house.
Like sewing machines are just
I haven't done it in so fucking long. And see, that's the thing. When I did sew, I used a machine. So like when I had to actually like do some shit by hand, even though it was just fixing the seam, I was like, what in the world?
From this, like,
this is one of the oldest things in my possession. I don't even know exactly how old it is, but it belonged to my grandmother, and this was her sewing kit. This was one of her sewing kits. But I got a bunch of my own junk in there now, and I have some of her needle and threads in somewhere else, because I actually use, like, if I do need to stitch up something real quick, I still use my grandmother's, her very own personal needle and thread, but this was her sewing kit right
It would be
here.
an amazing moment to just like be able to see everyone we really connect with on a creative level in person. So
Yeah, we got a little mirror in here.
And somebody else told me that I should try to.
I'm like super passionate about this app now.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have you speak passionate.
There was like
longer
some other stuff
than
in here that
unpassionate,
was still hers.
Shorter.
Like this.
Oh, MJ. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
this is
welcome.
my
Love
grandmother's.
Very,
It's a
very
little push
insightful
pin
and
with a
inspiring.
little,
All the
I don't know
stories.
what that
And
is,
MJ,
but I just don't touch
how
it. It
did
just
you
stays in there.
got into this app and kind of like shaped it in some way? Could you share that with us?
Oh, they got 25% off
Sure.
today for Valentine's Day.
I'm similar to Jessica, actually. I saw someone talking about it on another platform and wondered what it was, so I
Like
looked
these
it
right
up,
here?
Downloaded it, and then
These were her scissors.
I didn't even know there was a
scissors?
waiting list. I was a little bit confused. Like pretty much instantly after that, somebody on my contacts waved me in. And thankfully, this was the first room I came in. Well, it took me probably about 24 hours to get the courage to even like enter the room.
Motherfuckers sharp as shit though.
Because I didn't know like what to expect. Like, am I gonna walk in and just have a microphone, or so I got really nervous about that. So it took me a while to build up the courage. Probably like another day to build up the courage to actually speak, or maybe actually raise my hand, and then I think it was like another half a day to actually speak. But unrelated, Chris,
my grandma
I just
taught me how to
noticed
sew and stuff.
that our party hats
And she had the old Singer sewing machine.
grown up.
Like if times get rough, I'll make me a pair of pants, nigga. Give me some fabric. I'll take them damn curtains off of that damn window and make a damn pair of pants out of that shit.
Realize how powerful it would be.
That's where jeans came from. Levi Strauss. Back in the day on the wagon train, that motherfucker took the denim from the wagon train cover, cut that bitch up and made some pants out of that shit, yo. Them shits lasted so long because the fabric was so durable. Somebody else like, yo, make me a pair of them shits, yo. Next thing you know, motherfucker got Levi jeans.
Somebody did like a stained glass jacket.
That's hot. I ain't gonna lie, yo. That's hot.
For $100.
$100?
It's not bad actually, because their stuff is not cheap.
Man, just keep watching DeMario stock, yo, and get something from him, yo.
I don't want this. You know what I really want? What I still want? That little dress that showed you with the hearts on it. That's what I'm looking for on the site right now. And they're having 25% off, and the dress is only like $30. Yeah, his stuff was cool yesterday, but the last time I really liked his stuff. And look, these are the same pants right here.
Basically, yeah.
They don't have that little silver chain on them.
Well, I want this shit open.
This shit I just be so amazed at like how they just come up with this shit so random. I would never think to make something like that.
Yeah. An outside corset or?
Yeah, it's like, what? But like it would be cool for a video though. Like I said, like anything that I would not wear in real life, I automatically will wear it for a video. That's how I just think. It's like the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
I think just from a personal point of shit, just getting it out.
And they got this little brand, and it kind of reminds me of like what's it called? Bates.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an Asian brand or what is that?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like cartoony. Like this reminds me of like some little Asian cartoony shit.
That shit is cute.
But it's hot though, yeah.
Is that some of my favourite rooms have been with Chris, MJ, which have been the smaller rooms where we can actually have debate, and everyone can have their say as opposed to just kind of, I guess, speaking to an audience in like TED Talks, and it becomes a bit.
I can't believe people are really still arguing about this. Like,
Conversation.
About what?
what we were just talking about with the dudes wanting, or trans women wanting to play sports now that they're a woman and not men anymore. And it's all these gay people arguing with me about it. Like, what are you doing?
That's like the first connection. Being very sincere and listening and thoughtful and thinking like, okay, how can I help with the knowledge that I have or the insight or the experience that I have so that it also makes you from a creative point of view think what
I just thought about something. You gotta call your best friend later.
And I think that's the power.
Oh yeah.
Cause I gotta know.
And I gotta know too. Gotta know.
Hey yo.
You know what? He would have called me. What's up, people? He ain't called me back.
When was that?
He said no. He said he should get it Wednesday coming.
Oh yeah, okay. Cause you just talked to him.
Yeah.
Yesterday or the day before. So.
They might say, you know what, hey, that was very helpful what you were talking about, and I got a couple of DMs. Like,
wait, no, didn't you talk to him on Tuesday? Has it been that long?
No.
Not really making sense or anything, or not interesting, and then someone said, you know what, really thanks for that, because that was very insightful. I haven't thought of AR or VR in that way, or so I think that's the power of it. But I'm so curious
I
about.
really wish somebody wanted to like link up and come with us one second.
So far, you guys talked a couple of times, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, my friends are sick.
So how did you get on?
I'm down.
Following someone on LinkedIn, Sif Talk.
All my friends.
Was one of the fastest.
All my circle of 3.
One of the fastest crowdfunding campaigns, and I read his blog last week, and then he was doing a talk on like the failures of startups and things like that, and so I just wanted to join the chat. So I signed up to on the waiting list, and then my friend, who I didn't know if he was on the platform, got an alert to say that I wanted to join, and I was on the waiting list. So it's been really good. I think lockdown in general has been quite like I spend most of my time indoors, so it's really nice to speak to people because I'm not out and about. If we weren't in lockdown, I don't think I would use it as much. But it's just.
I think that's Crystal, I think that's a really good point, actually, because obviously this platform will grow like exponentially, and there'll be millions and millions of people, so there'll always be someone on the app. But I wonder how people change using it, and maybe as artists, because you can have this on whilst you're working. But if you work in a shop, for example, or whatever, you can't have this on like all day, every day, and so. I'm seeing the same faces.
That's how you can meet people from all over the world, yo. One dude was
Just
like,
like the lady from the interview. She was over in the UK.
the dude was like, yo, it's 11:45 where I'm at. I'm like, damn, where the fuck are you at?
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe you have like one iPhone earplug in one ear, listening like podcasts, the other like for the telecom, for the
Y'all roll a perfect blunt every time, yo. That's the only way I know how to do it. Been doing this shit since 1993.
I couldn't really do like on because I like finding people and then to have them like have someone to mentor you in that area is quite difficult if you don't know the industry. You don't know a lot of people in it.
Corset, stiletto heels.
It's been really nice to speak to people
Lou,
who've
what
been
it do?
working in that industry for 20 years and 15 years and just get that accessibility. So again, that the guy who I followed on LinkedIn, he's got a lot of experience in just finding out how you get there, how you get to where you want to be. It's been really helpful. But yeah, I don't know. In the UK, I'm just working from home 7 days, or working from home, and I'm not seeing people anymore. It's so nice.
Don't you have like Zoom meetings with your coworkers? Like,
I'm looking for some colors. Is there something you want to listen to on YouTube, baby?
And it's about work, so it's like
Find something.
I was just listening to some atheist stuff. I'm chilling, bro. Got up early to do a little bit of painting because I got a couple moves to make today. We got to ship some art off. We got to go to an event for my organization. Trying to get up early, get this day started.
oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. Anita.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Colorful profile. Yeah, go ahead.
I like colour.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
You know you can be picked away here too, you know?
Sorry? Oh, yeah,
You know? Like, they can turn off your mic if you say a dirty word like,
I know, I've seen people be deleted. So anyway, I signed up and I'm going to, and then a friend of mine pushed me forward, and he's a real connector, a real networker, quite an extrovert, and he said to me, oh, Anita, this is like amazing, you're going to love it. And I'm a real people person, I love to speak to people, and I think that's why I'm so fine with Instagram and Facebook. Well, not so much Facebook, but Instagram. It bores me because I can't speak to people, I can't connect. So this has really blown my mind. I mean, I can now connect with the people that are in my niche quite easily. I'm loving the value that everybody's giving, especially in the artist rooms, and the support and the love for each other. It's just amazing.
All right, here you go. This is going to be a very, very loose painting. There is no way I can do it any other way. I keep trying to like make out more details, and it's just so hard. So we're gonna try to wow. We're gonna try to do a second layer. So this is the underpainting. It's dry enough for me to work on it some more. So let's see what we can get done real quick.
How confident are you that the vaccine will work? We've done in less than a year what normally would have taken several years. Who's your favorite basketball player? Just steps over the half-court line and throws it up like it was nothing and swish.
So if you want to find this video for yourself afterwards, it's on the Carlos Watson show, and it's just Dr. Fauci weighing in on vaccines.
Would you ever run for office? Hey folks, it's Carlos Watson. I have the distinct pleasure and honor to bring you a very special episode of the Carlos Watson Show, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, I've always promised you that we would bring you the people that are changing our world, and whether it's been Bill Gates or Ta-Nehisi Coates, whether it's been Malcolm Gladwell or Megyn Kelly, we've tried to bring you a wide range of people. But arguably, few people have shaped our world as much as Dr. Anthony Fauci. Some people love it.
He had Ta-Nehisi Coates on his show?
Oh, I didn't hear that part. All I heard was Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci.
Okay. I gotta get one of his books. He's supposed to be like, they trying to make him like the new James Baldwin or something, you know? I never read his shit though.
Yeah. I've never watched this show either, Carlos Watson.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's speaking with big people. Like, who the fuck are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my comments to myself, but you could just read my mind. I'm thinking of a 4-letter word.
There's this other young
Many do, and some people.
I can look it up on the history. I mean,
yeah, when you look at him,
I didn't turn this on because I expected to agree with it. I turned it on to see, what the fuck he was gonna say.
But the other, it's a young black dude, and I agree with what he's saying, but it's just like his personality and stuff. But he's alright though, I guess.
Not excited, but I've never seen him as open, as candid, as raw as he was here with us.
What's his name again? Carlos?
Fauci, nice to see you. Are you in D.C. or are you elsewhere today?
Just a little north of D.C. I'm in Bethesda, Maryland, where the NIH is. I live in D.C., but the NIH is just like 5 miles north of the city limits.
And do you think of yourself still as a New Yorker? Because I hear New York in your voice, or have you been in Bethesda and D.C. long enough that you've switched allegiances somehow?
You know, I haven't been able to shed the Brooklyn accent, but I've been in Washington for so long that although I have really fond memories of New York City, I really kind of consider myself a Washingtonian right now.
Dr. Fauci, what was the moment when we're talking about COVID-19? How did you hear that there was a problem? How did you start to see it?
It was like December 31st or January 1st. I got a call from my friend who was the director of the CDC, Bob Redfield, and he said, Tony, something funny is going on, something strange is going on in China. But this idea about a strange pneumonia coming from China had all of my alarm bells go off. And because of that, we immediately started to develop a vaccine in literally the first week and a half of January of this year. And then somewhere around February, it became clear that this was not a disease that was inefficiently spread. It was spread very efficiently, and it started to ravage through China. At that point, I knew, wow, we're in for something that's going to really be transformative. Fast forward multiple months, and we're living through one of the most devastating, or the most devastating pandemic that we've experienced in well over 100 years.
Breaking news tonight, the coronavirus outbreak declared a global pandemic.
The Incident Command Center at Johns Hopkins Medicine, they're preparing for a sudden surge of patients who need immediate care.
So that decision that I made in the first week and a half of January of this year to go ahead and put a full court press on developing a vaccine has actually eventuated in a great success story.
Dr. Fauci, thank you again for all your service, and thank you. I'm glad that you did what you did in January. Talk to me, though, about the vaccine, because you know there's both hope and there's fear around it. How confident are you that the vaccine will work, that it'll be effective, that people won't get unexpectedly sick, that there won't be hidden long-term effects that we're only going to find out later?
When you develop a vaccine, there are a couple of things about it that worry people. They say, wow, that was really quick. This is the fastest we've ever developed a vaccine ever. We've done in less than a year what normally would have taken several years. Was that reckless speed, and is that dangerous? And the answer to that is absolutely not, because the speed is merely a reflection of the extraordinary advances in the science of vaccine platform technology, which has allowed us, without compromising safety and without compromising scientific integrity, to do something in a matter of months that would normally have taken years.
Make it sound good, no. That's the thing. developing a vaccine is one thing.
Broadly, I had a conversation
Clinical
with Bill
trials,
Gates.
that's a whole different fucking story. You
And
got to go through.
People fail to realize that his wife, Christine Grady, is the one who does the medical trials as well.
You see what I'm
she's
saying?
been doing it for years, and she's worked on shit with the Gates family.
And that's the whole thing that I worry about. Okay, you got a vaccine, fine. Is it fucking safe? And how do you
Johnson
know?
and Johnson, the same people being sued for their goddamn talcum powder and everything else, like that's who the FDA is giving an approval to execute this vaccination.
Mm.
Like out of all people it could come from, it's coming from Johnson and Johnson. Not saying people can't recover from their past, but it's just like, the people that are always involved in some shit are the ones that's working on the cure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
A few weeks ago, where obviously he reflected on his talk from a number of years ago where he had expressed some worry about this. And as we looked ahead, he said, Carlos, one of the realities is that unfortunately, this is not the first pandemic and it may not be the last. And so consequently, it may be something we should prepare for as a society in a different way. How do you think about where we go from here, not only in getting through this horrible tragedy, but making sure that we're...
Oh my fucking God, yo. Oh my God. Population reduction. I was just saying this. They can't do it on a large scale because it'll be too obvious. So they use soft kill, recombinant bovine growth hormones in your fast food burgers, and infertile sterilization hormones that they use in chickens, and chemtrails in the air, and goddamn fucking fluoride in the tap water, and all the shit in the... So there's tons of ways to soft kill us and make our lifespan shorter by contaminating and polluting our bodies and our environments. But for a major population control reduction scenario, what would be the best course of action? A motherfucking virus. And they just said the next one, this ain't the last one, but we got to prepare for another one that may be even more dangerous, so they can kill off massively large swaths of populations globally and say, oh, it was because of the virus.
It was the virus.
Yo,
but there's a new one every year too, and then it's just like, and then everything's gone. Like you don't really hear. I mean, there was like an Ebola outbreak.
But that's the thing.
You don't
like,
hear about Ebola. You don't hear about.
So why is this so different? Yeah, why is at this period it's like, oh, this is global shutdown where we didn't do a global.
Nobody's talking about the flu at all.
There is no flu anymore.
Exactly.
It's COVID. No flu season. It's COVID season.
If you're sick, if you have diarrhea, if you throwing up because you on your menstrual, if you got diarrhea because you ate the wrong thing, it's COVID. If you got hit by a bus but you had a cold, it was COVID.
Yeah.
The bus didn't kill you. COVID.
What if this is their major push for a major population reduction, and they're just like desensitizing us to this shit.
Reasons for them to want to reduce the population, but I think one thing is that people are really starting to wake the fuck up.
Exactly.
And there's power in numbers.
And somebody said that they don't need this many people to run. The elite who sit high and mighty and live lavish, the ones we don't know, that those shadow families, they don't need all of us to live the way they continue to live. They don't. And if we continue to grow in numbers and wake up, then they know that the 1% of the 1% know that shit will topple sooner or later. So they're going to cull the population, just like the Georgia Guidestone says. You only need 500 million people. That's all they need. 500 million people is enough to be workers to produce the things they need to sustain their way of living.
Ain't that some shit?
Read the Georgia Guidestone, Joe. It's the new 10 Commandments. And this shit is scary, but it's been out there since like 1980 something, yo. Motherfucker is real.
I was gonna say, this shit ain't nothing new. And I know, like, me being born, I was born in the 90s. Like, it's hard to imagine a time that was before your time. Even if you see it, you know what I mean? You can't go relive it. So it's like, when you find out that in the 1800s, that shit was just as crooked, and that we're still as dumb now as people were back then, it's like, yo, shit does not fucking change. It's just a different environment, a different, scenario. But like, the shit repeats itself over and over and over, and I'm starting to realize that more and more and more.
But the shift is in mass communication, this digital age.
Oh yeah.
Now, theoretically, we've never had this ability to communicate globally and almost instantaneously. Like, if I had a friend in Germany, I can, like, FaceTime somebody right now. Like, that is ultimate power. And so the faster we can spread information over a wider range, the more we wake up to this shit, yo. And we're at a time now where it's dangerous for those at the top, yo, because we don't know for sure, and we know there are some unknowns, but definitely for a fact, we know that most governments don't really control shit, and it's these corporations that are controlled by these rich elite that really, really, like, push the dominoes and make shit happen, yo. And if they don't fucking keep us under control, normally with fear, then their way of life is gonna come to an end. Yo, motherfucker gonna come with a pitchfork for their ass.
Real quick. I'm late, but I'm good, Lou. How are you? Yeah, I don't keep my comments to myself, but I will say I don't care for Dr. Fauci at all.
Better position for what could come next.
Yeah, that's called pandemic preparedness, Carlos, and that's something that we have done now for a few years. Interestingly, this pandemic was so efficient in transmitting from person to person that even what was considered the best of preparation didn't work very well. There's always lessons learned when you get through this. We've got to make sure we don't forget what we've been through, and we make investments in the science that would allow us to respond.
Doc, are you having any second thoughts about the trade-off between kind of loneliness and some of the other issues that are happening as a result of isolation?
Second thoughts about the fact that we have to do it, but I am totally aware and empathetic with what happens when you shut down society and when you close schools and the impact psychologically that has on children, which is the reason why we're saying now that the default position to try as best as you possibly can to keep the schools open or to get the children back to school for so many reasons. The deleterious effect on the children, how that impacts the family when working parents have to figure out a way how to take care of the children. Yeah, there are a lot of consequences of the public health measures that you do that it's necessary to do, but you have to try as best as possible to mitigate those unintended negative consequences.
Doc, what have you learned about communication? Because as I hear you share, it strikes me that not only having the right medicine and the right prescriptions are important.
What did he just
Talk in a circle.
Talked in a whole circle?
Because the kids in schools is open, man, and it's need them get them back in school or open the schools to the parents. Next question.
Right. That was like the video of Nancy Pelosi, and then somebody asked her a question, and she's like, "Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday."
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what kind of fucking glitch in the Matrix is this shit? Like, I don't know what. When we talking about the MK Ultra shit, that was some MK Ultra shit. I was like, what the hell?
But whether or not people trust you, believe, whether or not you're actually able to communicate, what have you learned in this extraordinary year about how to communicate in the midst of a pandemic that you would share with the rest of us?
Well, first of all, you've got to communicate in an honest, open, transparent way. You've got to admit when you don't know something, because when you start guessing about things, you get in trouble. You've got to make sure people understand what you're talking about. As I always tell people, in my mind, the secrets of good communication is to not try to impress people about how smart you are, but to try to get them to understand what the heck you're talking about.
Dr. Fauci, how did you come to the science and the epidemiology? I know you're the son of pharmacists, but how did you choose that? Was that a given path if we had met you at Regis High School as the captain of the basketball team?
No, it was an evolving thing. It wasn't like I had pre-planned exactly where I wanted to be, and I've now arrived at where I planned. My original feeling about what I wanted to do was primarily be a physician, taking care of patients, my primary identity. So I went to medical school. I did my internal medicine training in 2 or 3 or more years. And then I wanted to expand and get into the field of infectious diseases. So I took a fellowship down here at the NIH in infectious disease and immunology. And then that got me interested in doing research, because I never thought I really wanted to do research. And then I stayed here for a while, and then something happened that changed my entire career direction. Was the first cases of AIDS that were noticed on the West Coast and in New York City in 1981.
It's not yet been proven, but some doctors suspect that blood banks and plasma centers may be spreading a new and mysterious ailment called AIDS.
And that's when I changed the direction of my career and got very interested in public health and global health and pandemic outbreaks and things like that.
And say more about that. Why did that change you? What about that gripped you, grabbed you, put you on a new trajectory?
Well, when I noticed the first cases that were reported, they were from Los Angeles, of 5 gay men who were otherwise well, who developed a strange kind of pneumonia that you only see when someone's immune system is completely suppressed. I thought it was a bit of a fluke. All gay men who had this strange immunodepressed system where they had opportunistic infections and opportunistic tumors. And deep down, I knew that we were dealing with a brand new disease that was very likely sexually transmitted. So I was on a career path that was pretty successful, studying different types of diseases.
So
not
you're still gonna go with the
new
gay started AIDS.
And I decided I was going to stop what I was doing and devote my entire attention to pursuing this new disease. And 39 years later, there have been 77 million cases and over 35 million deaths. So
that's
what I've been doing. When I became director of the Institute, I got much more interested in the broader aspects of global health and public health. And that's why I'm so deeply involved in our response to COVID-19 right now.
I believe now that we have the agent in hand, that the amount of effort and energy that's being put into it by biomedical sciences, that within a reasonable period of time we'll have a lot of these answers.
Doc, talk to me about how you've changed.
Well, I mean, you're always learning, Carlos, and I think that's really one of the reasons why what I do. I've been director of the Institute for 36 years. I've been at the NIH as a scientist for well over 40 years, close to 50. And the one thing that's really terrific about all this is that, first of all, you've got to be humble enough to know that you don't know everything and that you've got to keep learning. I mean, I use the terminology perpetual student. We're all perpetual students. No matter how big a deal you think you are, no matter how prestigious a job that you have, the fact is we're all students and we have to keep learning. The one thing that I got out of this year, and it, we're still in the middle of it, that boy, there's a lot we didn't know about this virus. It fooled us in the beginning. It was far, far worse than we could have imagined.
So you know what they're asking besides whether or not you'll become part of the SNL cast in a different life.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Anthony Fauci. First, I'd like to thank all the older women in America who have sent me supportive, inspiring, and sometimes graphic emails.
Would you ever run for office? We now are warmly welcoming new candidates. Have you ever seriously thought about running?
No, I have not. I have not. I think I'm going to stick with what I'm good at, and that is science and public health. And we'll leave the politics to other people.
How about it?
He was on SNL?
That was somebody being funny.
Oh.
That was somebody mocking him.
Do you mind if I do something that I call rapid fire, where I hit you with 4 or 5 questions and get your immediate thoughts on them?
Okay, let's go for it.
Who's your hero?
My hero is a group of people, and those are the healthcare workers who are on the front
how
line
staged is that
every day, really risking their health, their lives, and the lives of their family to be out there exhausting themselves, taking care of people with COVID.
Your favorite book of all time?
The biography of Winston Churchill I find to be, one of the extraordinary human beings. The biographies of John F. Kennedy. I
thought he was going to pull the I love Martin Luther King. I was just waiting on it.
Winston Churchill.
But that's what I'm about.
You got a
Winston
point.
did a lot of bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of bad stuff. A lot of bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that who you wanna? I mean, it's probably a great book, but like, why is that your favorite? He's a terrible person.
Biographies are the most inspiring books to me. So I have, 5 or 6 or 7 biographies that I really have enjoyed very much.
One of the most interesting places you've been to in the world.
I'm gonna say the
I love
biography
San
of Malcolm
Francisco.
X for me. If somebody asks me that question, what's your favorite book? Biography of Malcolm X.
Right. And I mean, even like my favorite book is by Deepak Chopra because it's just like a book about controlling yourself and self-discipline and emotions. And I like self-help books. So if you ask me what's my favorite book that's just like a good read that can help you, that would be mine. But I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, my favorite is the autobiography of Hitler. Like, you know what I mean? God. Gas and Diesel said, what's up, P? Have a good weekend.
Yo, what up? Damn, y'all ain't seeing nothing on camera. My bad, guys. I really did not know the camera was over there.
I tell you, San Francisco is one of the most lively places that I always enjoy. My daughter lives there, and I enjoy very much visiting that place. It's really terrific.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Billy Crystal.
Finally, your favorite basketball player. I'm
Billy
assuming,
Crystal, old
as a former
school
player
dudes
yourself
back in
and
the
as a
day.
New Yorker, you might have a favorite basketball player. Who's your favorite basketball player?
Steph Curry all the way for sure. I've been to games where Steph Curry steps over the half-court line and throws it up like it was nothing and just swish, nothing but net. There's no better feeling. That sound is beautiful, isn't it?
Doc, I'm so grateful and appreciative of you for taking time and joining us on the show, and I wish you and obviously all the other people who are.
Well, that's interesting to say the least.
Ask him some random questions. See, he's a regular guy. He watches sports. He reads books.
And look at all the people that he named. Winston Churchill, Billy Crystal, and then he comes at the end. Oh yeah, I like Steph Curry. I was waiting for him to be like, LeBron, D-Wade, Michael Jordan, like Steph Curry. But Steph is nice with it. I can't be mad. I fuck with Steph. When Nancy Pelosi, when she was fucking glitching, that shit was crazy.
What's going on, guys? Mark Wilson here, U.S. Army retired, the prosperity.
President Trump or Attorney General Barr as a way of stalling and preventing the Senate from acting on this nomination?
Well, we have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now. But the fact is, we have a big challenge in our country. This president has threatened to not even accept the results of the with statements that he and his henchmen have made. So right now, our main goal, and I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg would want that to be, would be to protect the integrity of the election as we protect the American people from the coronavirus. And I have faith in the American people on this Sunday morning. I hope and pray we have a vaccine that will be soon, but it must be safe and efficacious when we do. Not one day sooner, not one day later than that. But the fact is, this administration has been a total failure in protecting the health and well-being of the American people, and it has had an impact on our economy. The lives, the livelihood, and the life of our democracy are threatened by this administration. So again, when people say, what can I do? You can vote, you can get out the vote, and you can do so as soon as possible. 10 seats, as I said, on Friday. I started there early for voting the day that we lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. We have a responsibility.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
And then she just says, good morning. It's Sunday morning. It wasn't even Sunday morning, I don't think. I think it was like Wednesday or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday morning. We have a responsibility. We take an oath to protect and defend.
That That was weird as fuck.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. We have a responsibility. We take an oath to protect and defend.
Slide of my dream
What?
job.
What? What, bitch? What did you just say? Why did you say that?
Just stop talking. He asked about the arrows and quivering, about what she said, and then, good morning. Good morning.
It's Sunday morning.
It's Sunday morning. It's a beautiful day. What are we talking about here?
What I was saying was, the arrows in my quiver.
Oh.
News reporters glitch out.
Damn. I can't think of that damn word. It was something I wanted to play. I can't get over that.
It's Sunday morning.
Right?
Bitch, what does this have to do with the conversation at hand? What's going on? What? I'm surprised he didn't address it. He's just like, they got to her.
I swear. Let's see.
What are you looking for?
This dude was talking about the real origin of cracker, and he said that it's not from the slave master cracking the whip.
Yeah, somebody said they were already using that in England before they even came over here.
Well, no, not even that. So apparently it goes even further back, which I'm trying to find the word so I can verify. It was like Gerbic or something like that, but they said something about the J's and the G's were interchangeable. I remember reading that too. So with like the white race or whatever, they said there's the Ba and the Ka, or the Kaaba, however you want to call it, and basically black people naturally possess it, and that the white race didn't. And it's like your DNA and like all your memories from like your ancestors, everything like put inside of you basically. So they're saying like they lack certain things, like they lack melanin, they lack the ability to like really tap in the way they're supposed to quote unquote tap in. So they started calling them Gerbka or Gerbic or something like that. And they said because, you know, it was a different language, it was pronounced different. So eventually it became Greece, you know, from the Gerba or Gerbic, whatever. So it actually made 100% like sense what he said, but I still, you know, to verify it is gonna be really hard because you're not just finding shit like that in the library.
Yeah, origin of the slur cracker. I know where I'm from, we call white people po buckers. I don't know where the fuck that shit come from, but you don't gotta fuck them po buckers. It's like, that's like my grandma used to say that shit, yo. Po bucker. goddamn pink toes. Like, it's just some weird ass shit, yo.
Yeah, pink toes.
Bixley, the power of diversity.
Don't know if they're gonna say it either.
Basically, cracker to me is a biscuit. That's what I eat, saltine crackers.
Like saltine.
I mean, of course we think about white people.
Today, we're going to be talking about crackers.
Really, bro?
Of course you think about white people.
Cracker actually goes way
When
back.
he starts eating the saltine, like,
First time it appears as an insult is actually in a Shakespeare play from the 1590s. Back then, all it meant was somebody who brags too much. It didn't get racialized or at least ethnicized until it reached the New World. And there it was used as a slur specifically for Scots-Irish people. Now, it's not clear if they got the name because people thought they bragged too much, like in the Shakespeare play, or if it was derived from their profession, which often involved a lot of whip cracking, or their diet. They just ate a lot of crackers. But whatever the reason, the name stuck. It followed them from Carolinas down to Florida and Georgia.
The thing about that Carolinas, I'm telling you, I'm from one of the most racist states. The origin of American racism, yo. When the motherfuckers came down, that's one of the original colonies, yo, the Carolinas, yo. It's so, like, the culture down there is so crazy. It's so crazy, it's just fucking ridiculous, yo. When you start looking to the history of South, like, it was one state for a long time, it was just Carolina. And then they separated it into North and South Carolina. I wonder if the Dakotas was one state at it one time. But anyway. Everybody know that shit, y'all. Racist crackers from the Carolinas.
I'm looking for, so it's Gurkha, but I don't see anything at all. Maybe I'm typing in the wrong thing.
And in the area where I'm from, one of the old slave families down there, their last name is Scott. My best friend, his last name is Scott. I was like, yo, motherfucker used all your family, bro.
And unquestioned sacred.
It's sad. You just gotta laugh at it. It's like, you know. That's the one?
Yeah.
Ancient sages and high priests confirmed that the souls of these new people on earth could
could not receive the ancestral light, they were called Gerka, or Gurkha, meaning dark souls, alluding to their state of unenlightenment, being uneducated. Now, of course, the limited mental capacity of these early white people, they could not speak our languages very well. And just like young children mess up words all the time when they're first learning how to speak, that's exactly what the white people did back then with our languages. Now remember, in linguistics, the G sound and the K sound are interchangeable. So the word Gerka eventually evolved into the word Grekos, or Grekos, as seen in early writings from Aristotle, and that word turned into crackers. Now, just look up the etymology of the word Greek. It means unintelligible speech, or boy, you stupid. So we know traditionally that the Ba, which is the spirit, is symbolized by water, and the water is what contains the secret divine knowledge that will eventually enlighten the whole world. And that age of Aquarius is the pouring out of that water, the spirit, right? And one thing that we know for certain is that people learn differently. That's why I encourage the world not to be colorblind moving forward, because the way that you enlighten Kabiru, which is black people, is not the same way you enlighten crackers or dark souls. And we want everybody, and I mean everybody, to reach their very highest capacity of knowledge.
If he would have stated, quoted more sources where he got all that shit from.
Yeah, like the etymology and like the Great codes, like you can look all of that stuff up.
Yeah, but
and,
this
like,
whole
we know
story
that we
of
have melanin. We know that there were hieroglyphs and Egyptians. Like everything was spot on. But like that's how easy it is to just throw some information in and make somebody believe you. So it's like I'm trying to find something else on Gurkhas, but I can't find it. But that's the thing is like you're only gonna be able to go but so far back anyway.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
then like I say,
hard.
like where do you get your information from, bro? Like a lot of people don't quote their
But
sources.
I don't want to like discredit him. You
No,
know what
no,
I
no,
mean?
no. But the whole story, like the etymology and all that shit, and
The Ba and the Ka, that shit makes sense.
yeah, but where you read that shit at, bro? Cause you telling me this story about these motherfuckers educating somebody and figuring out that they don't have that. Where did you get that science from? Where did they get that science from? And how does that even work? I don't know, just like the Muslims.
His name is Prince Michael.
What's the scientist that the Muslims believe in? The scientist that made white people. I can't think of that. Can't think of his name.
True black history has been taught in secret ever since white people emerged onto the planet. Now, the practical reason for the secrecy is because the real black history doesn't begin with kings and queens. It actually begins with tribes of literal gods who walked the earth in human form, lived for thousands of years, and visited other planets without needing primitive spaceships.
But this, okay, when you say this, you gotta give me more proof than
Well,
just
that's why I
saying
wanted
like.
to watch another video to see if he was gonna say something else.
Yeah, like I like shit. Like okay, no, come with it.
They were not actually Egyptian kings at all because they led the entire earth. Now, in the Bible, they're called the 24 elders. That's in Revelations 4 and 4. And they're the reason why Solomon's temple had 24 divisions of priests.
But this the thing too. How can you prove the Bible is real, bro? They gotta see you're citing a source that you can't even prove is real. Like there is no proof that anything in the Bible is really legit. But you're gonna say, well, because in the Bible it says this, and if you read this section of the Bible, they're called this, and it's like, yeah, and they talk about Nephilim and fallen angels and all that shit. So, but continue. My bad. I'm gonna start ranting. I do want to hear like.
You good?
Set up the earthly tabernacle according to how the heavenly tabernacle was set up. Now that's written in Hebrews 8 and 5. Now in the pre-Luciferian Hebrew scrolls, which are still hidden, the actual authentic scrolls, they're called the cherubim in those scrolls. Now this is not the cherubim of the mainstream Bible or the mainstream Torah, which is descend directly from these ancient people, these ancient human gods, and the knowledge that we learn from them is not permitted to be taught openly in this unrighteous society that we're living in today, because the knowledge that they gave us is holy and divine knowledge. Now, in the Black Panther movie, the symbolism that alludes to this reality is the force field which hides the beauty of Wakanda. Now, in the last days, the prophecy is that we, the descendants of the slaves, would be given access to symbolically go back inside of that force field, to return to Wakanda like Killmonger did, and that the divine knowledge would be returned to the earth again, kind of like how T'Challa was talking about at the end of the movie when he was at the United Nations. This is the true destruction of the Luciferian ways and stronghold, reconnecting with the secrets protected by our ancestors and the guardians who protect those that knowledge. Now, most of those knowledges and most of those secrets are really just for Black people, but some of them can and will be shared with the entire earth and all other people. And that's to help those people ascend into Christ consciousness, so that way we can live.
Oh God, come on, bro. Come
Wait. How many views does that video have, yo? How many videos does it have?
Oh, I wanted to like him so bad. He was spitting in the first video.
Yo, Wakanda, nigga. Wakanda. We coming back.
Right?
Well, wait a minute. How many views does it have?
7,000 views on that. He got more views on that than any of his other videos.
Why did you
All
go?
the Wakanda videos he got.
This motherfucker jumped from the Bible to Wakanda. Yo.
Wakanda National Prayer Day.
What?
Peace, peace, God give us peace.
That's not cult-like at all. I don't get any kind of cultish vibes off of that at all.
I mean, I don't care because he's not saying anything bad.
Yeah,
Why
but
is it
it's
Wakanda.
Wakanda. That's fictional, bro. It's so fictional.
Well, and then he's like going against Disney, and he's like proof that they're doing fraud shit. Like, okay, bro, you didn't uncover anything. Like, people been uncovered Disney.
Like the symbolism in the movie Black Panther, where
But
it's
the
shielded.
cracker part, though, that video did get me because the Gracos and everything else he talked about, he was right about that. So it's like, you know, you just take it with a grain of salt and go look that shit up. But I ain't following his ass after this. How you trying to point people back to Christ? No offense to anybody if you believe in Christ. I'm just saying, you can't be telling people not to believe in what the white people do and everything else, and then you turn around and you worshiping white Jesus. I'm just saying. And then you just told people they need to see color, but you're still trying to point people back to white Christ. But
The information is only going to be for Black people in the beginning, but some other people are going to get access to it.
Some people are going to get it, and white people lack a soul.
So they got to get it from the universal consciousness because they don't have the internal consciousness to get it from the Black
But you need
people.
to go worship this white Jesus.
But
'cause he's the savior of the
Jesus,
world.
Jesus Christ is the key though.
Yeah, no. He lost me with that.
And
That was sad.
and then once the veil is
You know who
lifted,
he remind me of?
don't say it.
I'm not.
But once the veil is lifted, everybody will realize that Jesus was from Wakanda.
Yo. And then we'll see that he really was
Black.
Oh no.
The whole time, yo. This motherfucker was Wakanda, yo. But it was hidden behind the veil. That's why you couldn't see him.
Yo. That was funny.
But it's always good to listen to like a few videos from somebody just to see where their range are and
Yeah,
like you
because
say,
that first
like
video he had me sold, and that's why I was like, let me watch something else, and then we watched something else, and it was like. Can't really find anything for Gracos or Gurkhas or.
that's what I'm saying. Where he get it from then? Where you get that from? If we can't find it, we got the Google too. We got the Google and we got the internet and we got the Yahoo search. Why we can't find it? We'll find it in a minute. It'll come up because it's true. Say the origin of words.
Let's see what this is.
Hey, babe, can you come here? I need you to check something out.
Oh my goodness.
So, what do you think?
It's called Manscaped.
There's a lot going on here.
I know, they're glistening, right?
Glistening.
Smooth and shiny, no dings or nicks. Gotta say, looks pretty spectacular.
Do you think it's weird that one
Then
is
it's gonna be
bigger
she's talking
than
about the
other?
cabinet, not his name.
Totally natural.
His
I
trophies.
think they're perfect.
Oh, phew.
Want to keep your balls in trophy?
Well, why the other day I was watching one and the ad was like, this is proven. If you take this hormone, it'll increase your ball size. I was like, what the fuck, YouTube? Like, you do know kids are on this shit, right? Lost in Time, art history documentary, girl stories. Ringers of the Lost Art.
It took nearly 3 centuries for El Greco's paintings to be truly appreciated. No artist has ever been more ahead of his time.
What does it mean to be ahead of your time? I think that artists are always avant-garde. They are always at the forefront.
He was a
I think
visionary
it's dope, but it's like all that like
painting.
I think she was just a very clever artist and
They
extremely
were like
talented
obsessed.
artist.
I mean, I don't think it's bad for a man to paint a man naked as art, but it's just like they were obsessed with like men and like sculpting men's penises and like and baby angels, cherubs. Like that shit is just so weird. Like it's cool, but like they were like obsessed with that shit. Like everywhere you go, you see is just penises. Like, and then they started to like incorporate the woman. But like, God, why do a whole bunch of men want to look at a whole bunch of statues and sculptures of other men?
That was to subjugate the women too. Let you know, like everything is masculine, bitch. We run this shit. We are the perfect beings.
I know, like, God damn.
Look at
Women, y'all ain't good for shit, but you know what? Y'all still good for a fucking have my babies and cook my dinner.
But then, like you say, it was the penis that put forth life. That's why everything is a phallus. Even the obelisk and all that shit are just phallus. Everything shaped like a fucking dick, yo.
I swear. And like I said, like, I don't care, like, if people want to pose nude or, like, a man paints a man nude or a woman paints a woman nude. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's art. But it's just like, God.
Yeah, they had a different.
If the first time I met you and I just walked in here and it's just all statues of vaginas and penises, I'm going to be like, okay. Well, all right then.
The cube just need this cube-shaped pillow, and I'm totally excited. Let's see what's inside. First off, I really like the construction. It's got a...
As strange as it may sound to say out loud, there was once a period where England and Morocco were once part of the same country, or even France and Egypt, Italy and Turkey, Greece and Spain. Clearly, I'm referring to the Roman Empire, the most wide...
I don't like when people play music in the background like that, because I'm like, I don't know what that shit is. Like, you know what frequencies you got playing in the background? Like,
known empire in all
He's
of
trying to get me to zone out into this shit.
Dozens of countries around the globe, both directly and indirectly. But the Roman Empire didn't immediately fizzle out, instead trudging on throughout history for several centuries. The Romans were succeeded by two distinct political entities, divided by West and East, with the latter being the more prominent of the two, and the Eastern Romans are known to us in the English-speaking world as the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah.
And although many may consider the Byzantines to be a relic of ancient history,
It was basically
their
the Byzantine was still basically the last branch of the Roman
2
Empire.
years before the birth of Christopher Columbus, so just one on Earth happened to the Byzantines. Even though the Eastern Roman Empire will be referred to as the Byzantines for the remainder of this video for convenience sake, the Byzantines didn't consider themselves to be a separate entity from the original Romans, instead considering themselves to be a direct continuation of the Roman Empire, and even up until the fall of Constantinople, referred to their empire as the Roman Empire, or occasionally
And that's what it
even
was,
Roman
yeah.
Empire,
Constantinople was the
as that
last
sounds.
stand for them
This is because
motherfuckers.
the split between East
I forgot
and
who
West was
conquered
slightly more
Constantinople.
inexplicable that is
Constantinople,
widely
though.
depicted,
It was
rather
the
than being a conflict over
Ottoman. It
succession
was the
like the
Turks.
American Civil War, the Roman Empire was still
I think that's
considered
when the
a
Turks took
single
over.
empire even after the split, being governed by two
Turks
monarchs
made their
for
little
each
mark
of the
too.
two divisions.
Hell
in a
yeah,
similar
for a
manner
long
to
time.
Austria,
And the
Hungary,
Turkish
or
Empire
other
didn't fall until that's what started World War One.
And even now, like, yo, like, I haven't really met too many poor Turkish people.
No.
I mean, if they live, like, in a bad area, but the ones that come here, when they come here, they be having bread, like, real shit. Now, I did know somebody who she said, like, there was, like, a war and she lived in a real bad neighborhood, but even then, she came over here and was here for all of 2 years and doing better than the Americans that have been here all their lives. That's another side, though, when it comes to, like, people opening businesses and shit when they come over here. Like, I don't understand why we don't get the same breaks as people who come from another country did.
Because it's the whitening of America. And
But that's the thing, you could be a non-white. Like, you could be a damn African from Africa or an Indian from, you know what I mean?
But this is what I'm saying. They're still classified as Caucasian. People from Egypt, in America, they're Caucasian, and that keeps the Caucasian numbers
a lot
up.
of foreigners say that they don't identify as black when they come here.
Nope, they're Caucasian, and sometimes the American government makes you classify as Caucasian to keep their numbers high, and so they only want people from certain countries.
To identify as black, so maybe all the black people and all the mixed people in the world should just identify as white then.
Yeah.
Not identify, but you know what I mean, like on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? So then they could be like, you're not white, and I can be like, I am. I'm 10% white.
Hell yeah.
I'm 20%.
In the division of Roman Empire was the lingua franca, or common language of different areas of the empire. It's widely known that the western half, including Italy, France, Iberia, Dalmatia, and the Maghreb, was dominated by Latin, an Italic language which originated in the heart of the Italian peninsula, while the eastern half was dominated by Greek, a fellow Indo-European language with quite a different history. Now, there really was never any single Greek empire in the same manner as the Romans or Spanish or French, like many may have been led to believe in school. Instead, with the ancient Greek peninsula being divided between numerous city-states for as long as scholars have cared to keep track of. But the closest thing to a Greek empire would have definitely been the Kingdom of Macedonia under the rule of Alexandros III of Macedon, better known in the Western world as Alexander the Great. However, even before the rise of the Macedonians under Alexander, the Greeks had a unique position in the Mediterranean, facilitating much of the trade between those in Europe, Anatolia, the Levant, and North Africa. And for this reason, Greek became the language of trade for Greek. Alexander swept through Southwest Asia, North Africa, and parts of Central and
Good morning, everybody. Is there anything that y'all want to hear? Any like shorter videos that are like, 5-10 minutes long, or any songs y'all want to listen to? Any requests? Let me know. I'll play before we get up out of
and the
here.
influence of the Greeks expanded far beyond anything they could have imagined. Greek settlements and kingdoms were even established as far east as Afghanistan and the Indian subcontinent, a topic we discussed several months ago, and their legacy can still be seen in that area to this day. So by the time the Romans had conquered Athens a couple centuries after Alexander's death and the swift dissolution of his empire, many areas around Greece, including Lower Egypt, southern Italy, Cyrenaica, and Anatolia, were dominated by Greek culture.
It's not even
As
that
many
cloudy
know,
right
the
now.
western half of the Roman Empire was the shorter-lived of the two, being battered by a combination of Germanic tribes, Huns, and internal conflict.
Alright, I'm gonna pause this, and I'm gonna play this because I think you'll get a kick out of this.
Oh, every once in a while, Christians come up with lists of what they call questions for atheists.
Mm-hmm.
Usually ignore these on the grounds that they're a bunch of borderline passive-aggressive nonsense that's laden with insinuations.
That's
and
the
that
guy with
nobody's
the blurred
really
out
looking for
face.
answers to
Yeah,
anyway.
why do you do that? He always does it?
Feel any compulsion to answer the stupid things. Critiquing them every once in a while can be a useful or at least fun way to blow through several misconceptions
Yeah,
of
nobody don't
atheism.
know what his eyes look like.
But that's the thing,
Today I present you not
how does he get paid for his videos? Somebody has to know who he is. And if YouTube knows who you are, it don't fucking matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're putting out informational shit and you giving people some knowledge and some gems, if you're making money off your videos, they know who the fuck you are.
Oh,
It gotta
yeah.
get sent to your bank account somehow.
Mm-hmm. It's just that the public don't know what he looks like.
That's true.
Just so
He
if
can't be attacked by the public police.
Yeah, he
Like,
gets.
I can fight these elite. I can't fight the public.
Yeah, so you can go to the grocery store without people like, yo, this prophet is I. Oh shit, bro, watch your fucking chat all the time.
Or the people like, you need to go to church.
You heathen.
Not 20, but a nice round concise 36 questions for atheists, read by Andy Fellows. Before we get started, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff.
I'll play the music,
both to me and to Andy. You know how YouTube works, but I guess the little robots who listen in and decide when to recommend your video like when you say stuff like that, so whatever. The way, here are the 36 questions for atheists.
The Catholics are gonna get you.
1. Why is there something rather?
It's another one of those
Really? You wanna start an ad
days
this
and
early in the
terrible
video?
days. Open it up the front.
1 minute in.
An absurd question on every conceivable level.
The question was, why is there something rather than nothing?
Even setting aside the idea of whether there being nothing even makes sense, how do you just walk up and ask a person to explain why everything exists? Do you believe in God? No. Well, then explain the entire universe, idiot. Following is totally unrealistic. Besides, unless Christians give an informed answer to why is there God rather than no God, then all they've done is kick the problem into new territory and pretend it went away. Congratulations on achieving that.
Is there any evidence that suggests the universe is eternal?
Question 1, I'll ask why.
I don't think that's a dumb question. I think you could ask that to anybody, no matter what your beliefs are, if you're really inquiring about what that person believes. Like, if I ask you, do you think that the universe is eternal? You're going to say, hey, it might be, but there's no proof for it. And that's an answer. Like, you get what I'm saying?
As far as we can tell, we can't see the edge of this shit, so.
Well, I guess I interpreted it a different way then. When he says eternal, like.
Have to answer the question just because we don't believe in their God. I mean, what scientist, much less person on the street, should be expected to know this kind of thing? Besides, you could just as easily ask, is there any evidence suggests God is eternal? Or, exists?
3. If not, why do atheists hold on to the idea and say you have debunked the Kalam cosmological argument?
Aggressively loaded question and switches from third to second person halfway through, but whatever. The Kalam is so uncompelling it doesn't even need to be debunked. Poorly constructed and relies so much on simplified intuition that it's practically meaningless. Even if we generously granted every assumption it makes, all it does is suggest that cause and effect as we perceive it can't go back infinitely, and thus something about the universe must defy our intuition if you think back far enough. That's it. Just tack God onto the end for the sole reason that they wanna.
4. If so, why do the vast majority of scientists reject this idea?
Saying that most scientists reject the idea of an infinitely regressive steady-state universe, I guess I can go along with that. But God isn't a necessary or even plausible alternative. And honestly, if you're a Christian, or at least fundamentalist, you might want to reconsider bringing what do the vast majority of scientists think into a conversation.
Number 5. Why is the universe so fine-tuned?
But that's a long story.
Fine-tuned for what? The universe isn't fine-tuned. It just works the way it works.
I don't even know. Like, that's not a good question.
Explain why God is fine-tuned for conscious thought, much less infinite wisdom. Then again, all you've done is kick the same problem up a level and then ignored it. Expect us to answer questions and then use special pleading to wiggle out of them yourself. There's no reason to take you seriously.
Number 6. If your answer is the multiverse, why is there no evidence for that theory?
If the answer is God, then why is there no evidence for that theory? How selective your interest in evidence is. Here's the thing. I don't give a flying f*** about the multiverse, nor should I have to. If you want to react to the universe's mysteries by guessing that God did it, nothing compels me to come back with, well, maybe it's the multiverse instead, just so I have my own alternative guess. Instead, I should say, hey, I don't know and neither do you, so stop guessing until you have an informed answer. Suggesting anything else shows you just don't understand atheism.
7. Is it possible that there is no natural explanation for the origin of life?
A few thousand years ago, people might have thought it was possible there was no natural explanation for lightning or the rising and setting of the sun. While this sounds silly in hindsight, I guess there always might be a far-fetched, precedent-breaking possibility that there's no natural explanation for the next thing we don't fully understand. Appealing to this possibility, all this question is doing is asking, hey, since we don't know everything, can I interest you in a God of the Gaps argument? Nope.
8. Where does consciousness come?
This one's the perfect gift for the friend who's been getting a little too comfortable during quarantine. Maybe your son, a father, or your boyfriend.
Your balls. It says your balls will thank you.
Function of our brains and going too much deeper into it would take a while. Again, why are you demanding these answers from me? Do I have to fully explain complex scientific phenomena I'm not an expert in before you feel I'm justified not defaulting to your magic answer that you can't explain at all? Can you explain where consciousness comes from, including God's consciousness? You have no real answer and are just declaring that consciousness comes from more consciousness, which... Hey then.
9. Do you lack a belief that God exists? Or would you say that God does not exist?
What?
If I were forced to choose between these two, I'd say I lack belief that God exists. Given most supernatural propositions, say, do vampires exist or does the Dark Lord Sauron exist, most of us treat both answers as pretty interchangeable. And people who split hairs between lacking belief and thus dismissing something as not worth your time, which they see as a perfectly adequate response to vampires, and conclusively showing you've disproven it, are expecting you to parse out the nature of your disbelief in way too much detail, when instead they should be, proving it.
10. A belief that Zeus exists? Or do you believe that Zeus does not exist?
My answer for this one is basically the same as for the previous one, so...
People ask atheists that?
Mm-hmm.
About Zeus?
And that's the thing, like, oh, can you believe in another God, but why don't you believe in my God? Well, I ask you the same question. If you can believe in your God, why can't you believe in Allah, or Zeus, or Hermes, or Krishna, or fucking Horus, or whoever? Like,
well, the guy who used to massage me, he went to a church, and he said at his church, they actually studied everything. He was like, he was like, it was a newer idea. He was like, but it's a bunch of different people. He was like, and there are gay people, straight people, whatever. He was like, but they study, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, blah, 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 blah. He was like, so it's something different every week. I could respect that more because it's more like you're learning the teachings, but they don't have to walk around and like, they don't feel like they have to donate money to the church or they have to wear a dress because they go to a church where you can't wear pants. You know what I mean? Just dumb shit. Like,
yeah, I'd rather do some community shit like that where, like you said, everybody just learning every fucking thing. And that's why that's why I think the way I think, because I just started reading other religions and figuring out other religions, yo, like all them shits.
And then they like go back to Hinduism.
Yeah. All them shits are basically the same, yo. You know what I'm saying? All that shit basically say the same fucking thing. So.
Yeah, but then it's just like still shit that makes more sense. Like at least with like Buddhism, for example, like I never went all the way into it, but like the whole like laws of enlightenment and like all that shit, like it's just a bunch of like positive stuff about how to be a positive person, but it's not like how in the Bible where like it's like crazy shit like, oh, this bitch ate the apple and now she better get a period and I'm about to do a flood and we about to do this and that and that and that. Like at least with Buddhism it's just like, yo, meditate, make yourself a better person and make it a way of life. You know what I mean? Like it's different. It's about sacrifice. So it's like you could take something good from every little religion, but like if I had to choose something that I would have to be a Buddhist because it's the only thing that I can see that's like a cool way of life that's not like gonna fuck with your mind per se. But even like, some of the Buddhists, they're so straightforward and you have to ask like, do these motherfuckers even ever have fun? Like damn. But it works for them.
Yeah.
Number 11. If you just lack a belief that Zeus exists, Why are you centuries behind the rest of the world who say that Zeus doesn't exist?
What a fun string of questions based on wordplay. This one just backfires by highlighting the fact that the only difference between Zeus belief and Yahweh belief is people are comfortable saying Zeus does not exist because a bunch of entitled Zeus followers won't nitpick over the certainty of their non-belief until they refine their answer down to, fine, I just lack belief. Nice job. You just illustrated how your religion bullies everybody else into describing their disbelief in your thing differently than their disbelief in other things.
Number 12. Do you act according to what you believe, or what you just lack a belief in?
For the most part, what I believe. There are people around me, and I believe my actions have consequences for me and those people, so I act accordingly. The fact that I don't add a God to the list of things I believe in does not mean I act according to non-belief.
13. What evidence is there that atheism corresponds with reality?
It says that the lack of belief in vampires corresponds with reality. It is just as poorly framed and dumb as this one for all the same reasons.
Number 14. Atheism, a worldview.
8 minutes in and there's already 3 advertisements.
That's crazy. That's why it's so hard to watch YouTube sometimes, Joe.
I mean, this motherfucker trying to get his money.
Not everybody's perspective revolves around whether or not they believe your thing. Atheism just seems like a worldview because we live in a highly fundamentalist culture that's always flirting with theocracy and thus have to react to you out of necessity.
Number 15. If not, what is your
Alright,
worldview?
guys, I'm about to get to a stopping point so I can get the fuck out of here. Got the day started pretty good, though, with a couple hours in the studio. Got one underpainting completed and started the second layer on another underpainting, so I feel accomplished right now.
Day 17 of the Biden administration. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening, Shannon. So much to get to in so little time. Now, this is a real storyline that people will be talking about, I think, for the next couple of days at least, by suggesting that his predecessor had, quote, erratic behavior, and that was reason enough to keep him from getting intel briefings, which, as you know, is a courtesy granted to all former commander-in-chiefs. Joe Biden hardly seems to be working toward the kind of unity that he claimed he wanted for the country at his inauguration. Just the latest example of saying one thing and then doing the exact opposite, say critics, and that has some of them seeing red.
I just think that there's no need for him to have that intelligence briefing.
In the interview with CBS News, set to air in full Super Bowl Sunday, Mr. Biden said he didn't want to speculate out loud what concerned him most about giving the former president classified intel briefings, but made it clear he didn't want it to continue.
It's very clear our economy is still in trouble.
Earlier in the day, Mr. Biden reacted with alarm to the Labor Department's latest jobs report, which showed the U.S. added a flaccid 49,000 jobs in January, and just 6,000 of those in the private sector, all but dashing hopes that the new year would bring an immediate boost to the pandemic-addled economy. The week showing? Proof, said the White House, that now's the time to spend our way out of trouble.
We can't do too much here. We can do too little. We can do too little in spirit.
A viewpoint met with skepticism by some experts, among them former Obama Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. Bold measures need to be accompanied by careful consideration of risks and how they can be mitigated, he wrote in the Washington Post.
The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the concurrent resolution as amended is adopted.
Overnight, a policy and priority tug-of-war played out on Capitol Hill, with Democrats at first agreeing to, then later stripping bipartisan amendments, supporting the Keystone XL pipeline and rejecting federal fracking bans, just to name a few. This, as the Biden administration announced today it's making use of the Defense Production Act to secure equipment and supplies for Pfizer vaccine production, an increase in at-home or point-of-care testing, and personal protective equipment, especially gloves for frontline workers, all to help address what's been described as a grave need. Very interesting, that late breaking news there.
They're never who they say they are. Once again, I ain't like Trump, but I did gain respect for that motherfucker because he is who you say he is. You know, take it or leave it, nigga. One of the two.
Periods.
Alright, guys. We're about to get up out of here. If you're on my Instagram, definitely look out for some lives later on today. There's a good chance I may go live on Instagram from our event. So, watch out, watch out, watch out. You're going to get paint on you. Back up. See it right now. You get paint on you, then you start licking the shit, and then you're just fucking sick. Working on this commission. And slowly getting there. Yo, like always, appreciate y'all chilling in the studio with me, keeping us company, checking out the process on these portraits. Hope y'all have a good day, and catch y'all next time.